All right, hot topic, hot topic, hot topic. The hot topic is yield farming. Everybody's talking about yield farming. Everybody wants to know how they can use DeFi or decentralized finance to make a profit. So, I don't know. For me, this trend is something that I definitely think is going to kick off the bull run. I think we're already in the bull run, but this is certainly going to accelerate it. And it's going to be because it's more than anything a gold rush. Okay. A lot of people, in my opinion, will get burned, but there will be the people that get in early who are able to make a big profit and make a lot of money as long as, well, really, as long as you're lucky. The main thing to remember when it comes to yield farming is that you are taking on a lot of risk, but the reward is high enough that it might potentially be worth it to you to get involved with it. So what is it? Yield farming, which originally started out as, well, let me back it up. DeFi, decentralized finance, which originally started out, I would say, with Maker, with projects like Bancor, which invented the first automated market maker, Maker, which invented the first aligned incentive structure to create a stable asset pegged to the US dollar. So in order to understand what yield farming is, you have to understand first what DeFi is, or decentralized finance. Decentralized finance is a combination of open source protocols, and yield mining, or yield farming rather, is pretty much using those protocols in conjunction to try and generate a high return. I'm still familiarizing myself completely with what yield farming entails, but from what I can tell, it pretty much boils down to three main categories, three or four, give or take. So number one, I would say, starts off with derivatives, something like synthetics. Okay, so you have a synthetic asset that gets created on a platform called Synthetics. Synthetics then rewards you for taking out that asset, right? Creating that asset. And then you can stake that asset inside a liquidity pool, something like Uniswap, something like Bancor, and that is at the DEX layer. So that would be layer 2. You put it there, and then you generate income there, and then you get those pool tokens. And from there, once you get those pool tokens, you can stake inside maybe some sort of lending protocol, layer 3, something like Aave or something like Compound, and then essentially just stack your rewards all the way up. For me, I'm still a little bit on the fence. It all seems a little volatile and sketchy, especially considering how volatile the crypto markets can be. But I want to know you guys' opinion. Do you think it is a good idea to get into yield farming right now? Do you think it's something that is sustainable long term? Do you think it's the spark that's going to take us to $1 trillion market? What do you think? Do you think people realistically, should be promoting this and giving it the clout? Do you plan on jumping in it yourself with a little bit of your assets? I personally don't see anything wrong with leveraging your position, but once you have all these moving parts that aren't necessarily stable, it just takes one break in the chain, and something can get messed up, and once it's like dominoes. Once one person's position gets messed up that's large enough, it can mess somebody else's up, and boom, 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 boom. That's what happens when you mess around with leverage, and that's a lot of the times what happens when you have things like flash crashes. I have to look up some specific strategies just to see like what people are doing exactly. I get the basic concept, but for me, I'm still a little uneasy about it. There's a lot of things to consider when it comes to yield farming. If you're going to create a strategy, which I would definitely recommend, and run your numbers when you do it, definitely make sure to account for things like slippage in liquidity pools, which is going to happen if the liquidity depth is not deep enough. Gas fees on the Ethereum base layer, which will happen if this trend becomes bigger and bigger. More and more gas fees are going to happen, so getting in and out of positions will be more and more expensive. So you have to realize that the numbers you run now could potentially not work for you in a couple of days, weeks, months, etc. Annual percentage rates, again, the more funds that get locked up, at a certain point, it becomes impossible to offer the same annual percentage return that you were offering with less funds, because you're then paying out to a bigger pool of people. These DeFi protocols that are gaining so much attention right now due to this yield farming craze will ultimately return you a lot of value in the long term if they gain mainstream adoption of people using them and people opting out of the traditional financial system in order to use these trustless protocols.